Hey world, you're listening to Globethotter, the pod that puts the lover in travel lover. I'm your host, Cassy Martinez, and each week I trade tales with a slew of amazing adventurers who, like me, kiss and tell. What is up, travel lovers? Emphasis on lovers. How are we doing? Personally, I am fresh back from a week-long trip to Mexico City, where I coincidentally launched Globethotter's Galentine's trip to Sayulita, Mexico, coming up this February. During my short time in Mexico City, I switched things up a bit and I stayed at the new Viajero hostel located in the city center to get out there and challenge myself to meet some new people while in town. Honestly, otherwise, I would have just spent the week in my PJs at an Airbnb. Guys, I don't know what it is, but fall just has this effect on me where all I want to do is be cozy and stay in, even when traveling. Can anyone else relate, or is my tourist side showing? As a side note, this past week marked my second time launching a group trip from Mexico City, and the town is sort of beginning to feel like my lucky charm. That being said, some pretty amazing gals have signed up for our 6-day trip in paradise so far. And we've got just a couple spots left before our Galentine's getaway is completely sold out. Fun fact, a lot of the signups so far are actually group trip alumni from this past summer in Portugal who are ready to do it all over again, which I think is honestly an amazing sign and testament to just how much fun we get up to on these trips together. And the best part, all you gotta do to secure your spot is drop $150 down. From there, total trip cost can be broken down into monthly payments, which, come on now, it doesn't get better than that. To check out the trip's itinerary and make moves on securing your spot, head to globethotter.net/group trip or click the link in this episode's description. You know you wanna. So, without further ado, joining us on the pod today, we have Emily, who you might know as EmmyGoesPlaces. A traveling content creator and digital nomad, Emily and I first met on TikTok and then finally IRL on a raging boat party in Lisbon. Because, well, of course we did. A self-proclaimed sunlight chaser and life enthusiast, Emily and I hit it off on site and were dancing on top of tables within hours of meeting each other. A sure sign of a kindred Globetrotter spirit. From saying F you to convention and solo traveling into your 30s, to why you should never trust an Italian who says they don't have Instagram, this episode gets into it all. So, are you up for a little bit of fun sprinkled with a dash of chaos? If so, buckle up and lift those tray tables, because Globethotter is taking off. Hey Emily, how are you? So good to see you.
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing great. Lovely to see your face. It's been a couple months since we last danced on top of tables together.
I know. As we should.
Yeah, honestly, we're like basically almost in October now, and we're like, I don't know, I'm still a little hungover from summer. Are you?
Oh, 100%. But I mean, I thought it was going to be chill when I came back to the UK, but you know, it's still festival season here, lots of friends to catch up with, and it was carrying on.
Yeah, you guys in the UK, like, it's gonna get cold, it's gonna get dark, like, ride it till the wheels fall off.
It already is. Literally, that is my motto in life.
Yes.
It has to be done. Otherwise, it's just so depressing.
Yes. And I mean, the ride it till the wheels fall off motto and how we both relate to it. Yeah, I could tell the minute I met you, I was like, yo, this chick and I, dangerous.
Pure chaos.
Oh, yeah, for sure. And on that note, though, I'm loving the vibe that you're, like, radiating right now. We both have our cups of tea. We're winding down. I'm in a fuzzy sweatshirt. Like, this is so different than when we met on a catamaran in Lisbon, ready to turn up.
In silk dresses. I believe that night was the night where I was in the club until I think it was at least 8 a.m.
Oof.
There was like 3 nights in one. Like I started at the beach in Ericeira. I ended up on a boat with you in Lisbon, and then we went to a club, then another club, then I went to another club with a bunch of other people. It was wild.
It was giving Gaga. Club, bus, catamaran, other bus, other club.
Oh, it truly was, but it was memorable to say the least.
Yes, truly. So jumping right in, how would you describe your content in just a few words? Give us the lowdown.
Oh, okay. I would say probably, I mean, what I try and focus on is being a little bit realistic with the whole travel, digital nomad, solo travel vibe. So, as much as it is aspirational, inspirational, and obviously I do want to show that, I personally relate more to kind of like the realistic side, like the chaos, the stories, and that kind of stuff. So, I would say probably chaotic, realist, I don't know. Chaos always springs to mind, but I don't want to just be known as chaos.
Well, what I see, honestly, is like you said, exactly. Like it's the real, but it's also super aspirational. Like you're out there living life and you're keeping it real. Like you're not afraid to share the awk, you know? Like the kind of stuff that some people are like, oh no, that one's going to the grave. Like you post it and then that makes everybody else feel like comfortable. Like, dude, there's nothing to be embarrassed about.
Yeah. Do you know what it is? Is like TikTok was my safe space where I could just, because I like stopped posting on Instagram because I was like, this is so boring and I'm just over it. And everyone I know from like childhood follows me on here. And it's like a weird thing. You don't want these people perceiving you in any way, when you've all evolved and changed. I don't know, it feels weird. So TikTok was just like the safe space where I could just be myself, post stuff that I wanted to consume and relate to other people and similar things. But yeah, I mean, that's what I relate to. But also another point is, you know, like travel and all of this stuff is something that's seen as like a really young person thing, like straight out of uni or like after uni. And I never really did that thing. So I only really started doing it in my late 20s, which might surprise people. But I kind of want to show like that aspect as well of like, just because you're 30 doesn't mean you have to like have a 9 to 5. You don't have to like settle for anything less. You don't have to abide by these like arbitrary societal rules. You don't need to be like getting married just because like people are telling you your eggs are dying and all this. So I very much reject that notion and just want to live my life. And especially after the pandemic, I was like, I'm making up for lost time, honey. Like I'm out here living life until someone tells me I can't. So
right. And even then, fuck them.
Exactly. And even then, I'm not going to listen. So
exactly. Oh, I love that. That's really beautifully said. I think I definitely, on an unconscious level, even when we met, probably had some of the same brainwaves going on because I didn't start backpacking and solo traveling until I was like 26.
Same.
I didn't know what a hostel was. I didn't know anything about a gap year.
Literally same.
Yeah. And like I just came from a completely different upbringing where it was like everybody was just on the track. Everybody was on that 9 to 5 track. What do you mean you work from home? What do you mean you don't want to do the kind of prescribed way of life?
Yeah.
And the only reason I even started was because I was laid off. Like I was on that girl boss route. Like I was like, yeah, climb, you know, putting everything that was work related first. Right. And then all of a sudden I got, I remember I was recruited into this super snazzy job. Thought it was going to be the best thing ever. By day 2, I knew I was miserable, you know?
Yeah. You know, in your gut.
Yeah, you know so quickly. And then shortly after, you know, it wasn't even 6 months later, half the company dissolved overnight.
Oh, shit.
All of us were laid off. I was given a check to leave, was given severance. And I was like,
That's kind of a blessing. Like, see ya.
Yeah, I was like, let me cry a little and then see this for the blessing it is. Like, honestly, my body was just so stressed. I was like grinding my teeth. Like it shows up, you know, in the body, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. And I remember just with hindsight being like, that was the executive decision from the universe. That was the executive decision from God because I wasn't going to do it myself.
I feel like we all had these moments. I love it.
Yeah. And, you know, ironically enough, or rather more like fate, I had a flight to Lisbon already. You know, I was going with a girlfriend. I was just going to take a week and it was going to be a typical vacation, right? Kind of, you know, okay, 6 days. I just didn't come back. I stayed.
This happens to a lot of people.
Yeah, exactly. I was like, you know what? I have nowhere to be. I'm going to stay. Me and my friend are going to be together for a week.
Why not?
Yeah. And, you know, for those that are willing to give this a shot, you know, but they're a little bit nervous of like going solo, one of my biggest pieces of advice is like, go with a friend at first and then get your kind of like
your confidence.
Yeah, get your grounding. And then when they leave, you're like, I got this. Like we spent a week together. I convinced her that we should stay in a private room in a hostel while I learned the ropes, right? Like neither of us had ever been in a hostel. We're like, what's a pub crawl? What are daily activities? Oh my God, is the walking tour really free? Like what?
It's like learning all of these things. Yeah.
Yeah, totally. So like, I'm with you. And like, I mean, I think we both recently turned 32. So we're in this new era.
Mm-hmm.
And my God, can I just get your gut check on this? Do people, I'm just going to set the scene. Whenever we're in a hostel, right? Or in those kind of like digital nomad spaces. And, you know, people always reveal themselves to be like the younger ones when they're like, oh, like, so how old is everybody? And I'm like, why are we doing this? Why are we doing this?
I don't think I really meet people that are that young, but I'd say 22 to like our age really is who I meet. But everyone's cool. Like I've hung out with a lot of younger people. I find if anything, they kind of not look up to you, but I think they're like kind of a little bit impressed sometimes. They're like, oh, okay. You're still especially with the lifestyle thing, because it's still not really that common.
Yeah.
And obviously everyone is still kind of pushed, like go live in the city, go get the big job, climb your way up. Now it's probably easier, obviously, because after pandemic, everyone's freelancing and stuff. But yeah, I think people are quite impressed and like seeing someone doing that. And like, you know, even just from like my sister's friends who are 22, they're always like, oh my God, it's so cool. And I'm like, really? Is it cool? I'm like, am I cool now? I don't know.
Yeah, definitely. It's definitely giving like big sister energy too, because like, I mean, you just can't help but like, hey, like I've been through some stuff like on my solo travel journeys, like I'm going to watch out for you, or I'm going to share my tips. Like, I mean, that's kind of what both of us are doing with like our TikToks, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Like sharing tips of like, oof.
Yeah, but it's like, it's a delicate energy for me because I always want to be like, I'll be a big sister, so I'm still going to be chaotic and fun.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not your mom. There's a boundary there. I'm not your mom. I'm not going to be like picking up your shit and paying for stuff. Like, you're on your own, honey, but I will help you along.
Chaotic older sister.
Exactly. Everyone needs one.
Ooh, and I think this is a natural segue to, okay, yes, we might be like the mature, oh my God, I'm sure there's somebody that's like maybe 10 years older than us and being like, you're not old.
Yeah.
But anyway, one of my favorite aspects of traveling, it's true, is there are a lot of cute younger guys, and that's also an interesting dynamic.
Don't bring this up.
Did you know I was going there? Did you know?
No, I didn't. But actually, yes, that makes sense. Oh my God, yes. It's weird because I feel like, I mean, I can tell when someone's like definitely like younger than 22, but I feel like in the mid 20s, I find it very difficult to tell how old people are these days. Like,
yeah,
I don't know. I feel like they all kind of look like similar. I don't know. But yeah, you're right. There's absolutely a lot of honeys out there. It's an interesting line to tread.
Yeah, for sure. It's like you said, you're like, I'm not your mom. I'm not going to pay for things. But there is like the common like theme right now is we're just like so sick of like lack of effort from like American dudes. And then you've got this like young whippersnapper energy from like a young, cute Euro dude. And we're like, oh my God, he wrote a sonnet for me. Let's go.
Quite literally, like they set the bar so much higher. And that's why I always say like the blanket statement, which is ridiculous. I'm like, I'm never dating a Brit and I'm never dating an American.
Oof.
Like the bar is just so low for them. I'm sorry. And maybe this is too controversial, but I'm not going there anymore. Because, you know, when you date the Italians and they are romantic and will take you out, show you like a high effort date. Like they're not just like, let's go to the pub. Yeah. I need more.
Yeah.
Like, give me more than just like, let's have a pint in the pub.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's different. It's obviously like culturally, it's just so different for dudes like that. They grow up like just in a different world, literally. And it's nice. It's nice to be treated like that sometimes.
Yeah. The romance of it all, for sure.
Exactly. We need it. We need some more of it these days.
Honestly, truly. So jumping onto the professional side of things and your life as a digital nomad, tell us about what you do. When was it that you first decided to take the show on the road?
I mean, I've always wanted to do this, I guess, before it was even like a coined term. So like when I finished uni, I actually moved to Amsterdam for like a year, just doing like an internship and stuff. So I always had interest in like travel, living abroad, like all this stuff. But then, as we've said kind of throughout this episode, you know, everyone was kind of pushing, especially after uni was like a recession, all of that. It was like, just get a job, be stable, all of that. So I started working my way up in marketing, like social media. I've always done like social and content. So yeah, I worked like for Clinique and different agencies doing all of the corporate stuff. And, you know, it was obviously great learning experience and everything. But it got to a point where I was just like, I was traveling more and more, and it became actually a running joke at my office that I was always on holiday. I was like, well, I don't get more holiday than you. I actually just use it wisely. But yeah, I mean, I just wanted to go freelance for so long, and I think I just didn't have the confidence or something. But I just decided, because obviously I couldn't do my job on the road. They wouldn't let me. I was like, okay, I'm just going to have a break and see what happens. I just needed a bit of a career break anyway. So I quit my job, did that whole I'm quitting thing, and went to travel Asia for 6 months, got like 3 months in, you know, pandemic hit. And I was in Bali, had to get like literally the last flight back to the UK before the borders shut.
Whoa.
It was all very dramatic. And actually interesting, that was where my fear of flying kicked in. I was fine before that. But basically we had the worst turbulence ever, and I spent the entire flight sobbing, genuinely sobbing out of pure fear that I was going to die. Anyway, side note.
Oof.
But yeah, so then came back, and obviously there was 0 jobs. No one was hiring. And I was like, okay, well, this is a perfect time to go freelance, I guess. And luckily, I mean, I knew people from the industry and I had like a network. So it kind of just happened really naturally, which was pretty lucky for me.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, once we could travel again, I was out there. I was like, see ya. I am going to live life and live it bigger than ever before, which has just remained a constant thread in my life since.
Oh, yeah. So what's your ideal work/travel environment like? What helps you kind of stay productive and responsible, most importantly, while on the road?
Okay, well, not gonna lie, it can be difficult. And I think I have learned a little bit the hard way. I think especially straight after the pandemic, I was like, I need to be living life. And I probably did fuck up a little bit, not gonna lie. So I think just through learning stuff like that, like missing a meeting, and then it makes me more stressed because I'm like, well, I can't lose this client or lose my money.
Yeah.
So a little bit through like trial and error. But the main thing for me is I need to have a good sleep. And obviously, if I'm partying a lot, that's not going to happen. But what I can do to manage that is having like a private accommodation.
Yeah.
So like, I love a hostel as much as the next person, but I need to mix it up. Like, I need to make sure maybe I go for a weekend and I have like the hostel experience, meet some people, but then I'll move to like an Airbnb or something else and make sure I have like private space to work and it's chill and I can actually sleep. That's like the main thing for me, I think. But I mean, another thing I did, which I think is good to have as a backup, like if you're in this situation, is when I went to Greece last summer with my friend, I'd actually just taken on way too much work before, like contracted work. And I was like, I don't know how I'm going to do all of this when I want to be like out doing stuff and experiencing all these islands and stuff. So I just hired like a subcontractor basically and just got someone to help me with the work. So it literally like halved my workload. So just spend like the morning catching up on stuff and giving feedback, but not actually doing so much of the doing, which was pretty incredible, to be honest.
Yeah.
Obviously, that's only feasible if you have the funds and stuff, but it's not even that. Like for me, even if I'm losing money, like freeing up my time is the most important thing to me. And especially if I'm somewhere I want to be experiencing, I'm not going to miss out on that.
Right.
Like even if money's involved.
Yeah.
Because like once you're there, it's like I'm here. I'm not going to spend 3 days, 9 to 5 at my laptop. Like, no, I'm just not doing it.
Totally.
But yeah, those are my main tips.
Those are amazing. Honestly, super strategic ways of going about having a hot girl summer, but like doing it in a way that doesn't burn you the fuck out.
Yes, it needs to be done. I mean, it's difficult, I'm not going to lie, because I find it very difficult to say no to anything, really. So if someone hits me up and they're like, are you coming out tonight? I'm going to find it difficult to say no in summer, but you do have to have discipline, like, obviously.
Oh my God, yeah. So, you and I met IRL on a party boat this summer in Lisbon because, of course, we did. I'd love to hear about what you were up to that summer. Like, where were you? What were you doing? What was the chaos? Like, tell me everything.
It's a good question. I mean, I made all these plans for summer and basically what I planned didn't happen. So the whole reason for coming to Lisbon was just basically to find accommodation because I'm trying to move there. And so I was like, okay, I'm just going to start my Euro trip there for 4 days and then I'll go to Italy and like go to all these other places. And basically I got stuck in Lisbon. I was just there for like almost a month nearly, I think. And yeah, definitely like 3 weeks. But you know, it was like this weird but amazing experience that I could not have predicted. Like, just everything, it's almost like everything just fell into place. Like, I was supposed to be there for 4 days, ended up meeting like this big group of like digital nomad entrepreneur women, which was amazing. So obviously I want to have connections for when I'm going there. Like, we all hung out. I met you randomly. I met this other girl randomly from TikTok, and we ended up just becoming like besties and spending like 3 weeks together, which was hilarious.
Amazing.
Yeah, so that's what happened in Lisbon, and it was just so much fun. And then the only reason I left was because I had like a whole birthday thing planned for my 30th in Italy. So I went there, you know, casual, subtle birthday trip in Ischia. And that was incredible. There was a lot of stories from that one.
Yeah.
And then after that, I went to Spain and met my family that lived there. And then came back to the UK. I came back for work. But yeah, I mean, I again had more plans. I was like, I'm going to go spend the rest of the summer in Italy and stuff. But I've been sorting out all my stuff here, the visa, blah, blah, blah. So it's not really happened, but it's fine because there's a million other things in the works.
Right, totally. And honestly, some of the best summers are so impromptu, right? It's like you have the first week planned and then you're just like, okay, well, what else is going to happen? I'm just open. I'm open.
I think that's the best way to travel, though, to be honest. Like, so many times I've made plans and then been kind of annoyed that I wasn't flexible. Like, especially in Asia, when I first went traveling, I had planned like everything for like the first month, like down to every hostel, like everything. And once we'd got there, we were like, oh, why did we do this? Because like everyone just goes with the flow.
Oh, yeah.
Like, they're just like, oh, I don't know where I'll be in a couple of days. And we were like, we're off. Like, you know what I mean? So yeah, I prefer having like a bit of a schedule, but then if like you meet someone and then you're like, okay, well, I haven't really got a plan, I could stay here, then
Yeah.
it's just nicer like that, I think.
Yeah. You know, something that came forward when you were talking about that is like, you know how they say like when you're in a relationship or, you know, situationship that's not serving you, it's like best to just release it, right? So you can leave space for something new and exciting. Honestly, travel is the same. Like leave space because if you're all booked up, you don't get to do that impromptu fun thing because you're already committed. And for what?
Exactly. The past summer, if I'd have booked, because I booked 4 days accommodation, if I'd have booked like the Italy part and flights, I would have had to go. And then none of the stuff that happened, which was all like truly, I believe, meant to happen, it wouldn't have happened. And I'm like, I had the best experience and I met so many amazing, incredible people and like people I'm going to be friends with for the rest of my life. So yeah, keep it open, people.
Yes, yes. And on the note of basically you being in Lisbon for nearly a month, what are some of like your tips or tricks for finding accommodation that is long-term and affordable?
That is a tricky thing to do. I mean, okay, I'm not going to lie, I'm not really a budget gal. I mean, I'm not booking 5-star hotels, but like we said, I need somewhere where I can sleep. But to be honest, like Lisbon isn't the best example of that because the prices like just went insane this summer. I don't know if you found that. Like, it was just wild. Like, Airbnbs were like more expensive than hotels. So it's like a toss-up. It's like, it's kind of cheaper if you are slightly out of town and then you get an Uber in, which is, by the way, super cheap. Well, not Uber, but Bolt's super cheap in Lisbon. But I mean, find a buddy. Find a buddy you can bunk up with because like me and my friend, we basically stayed in the Airbnb for a bit, then went to like a 4-star hotel, which seems ridiculous, but it ended up being really cheap between us for like, I don't know, a week. It was like way less than an Airbnb would have been.
Yeah.
And obviously we had a pool and it was so hot there. It was like, we need water, like we were dying. But I think if you're on a budget, obviously hostel first. But if you need like, you know, some sleep and stuff like that, then mix it up, like do a few days here, a few days there. But there's always ways of cutting back. Like you can be frugal when you need to be. I say that like I have experience in it, but I don't really do it because I just put my head in the sand and just like hope for the best. But yeah, like obviously make your breakfast at home, things like that. Don't always go out for dinner, but you just have to do what you have to do sometimes.
Yeah. It's so fun. I'm so not a budget gal either. And I'm sure we both get the same kind of questions.
I think it's our age. Like, we're over it.
Honestly, too, I think it's my sign. I'm a Taurus. I like fancy things. I like nice things.
I'm a Leo.
Oh, yeah, for sure. For sure. I get questions all the time on TikTok, I'm sure you do too, of like people being like, hey, so how do you budget or how much would you spend? And I'm like, this is a deeply personal question. I literally made a Globethotter like budget calculator so everyone can input their own information. If you want to use it, it'll be in the episode description. But like, it's because like I travel so differently than everybody. Like I'm like, every day is treat myself. Every day.
Mm-hmm. Like, I'm not going to lie. In Lisbon, I didn't cook for myself one time. Not once. I think like had a grab and go pasta on a nata and a coffee for breakfast. But other than that, like I ate out every day for sure. I mean, I didn't really eat lunch just because I feel like in the summer you just eat less. But I would for sure be going out for dinner pretty much every day.
Yeah, living it up.
It's our age. Like, I can't do super noodles.
And you're also employed.
Exactly. Like, that's the way I was seeing it. I was like, it's not like I'm on holiday. Like, I know everyone thinks I am on holiday permanently, but I am actually working at the same time. So I'm spending what I would spend at home essentially abroad because, like, Lisbon was, I mean, comparably to London, so much cheaper. Like, to eat out, like, quarter of the price or something.
Totally. I'm right there with you. And what's one place that you went to this summer that you just know you'll be back?
I mean, I think I say about literally everywhere I go. I'm literally that meme that's like the person that goes somewhere one time and they're like, should I move here? That's me. But I mean, I went to this island called Ischia and it's Amalfi Coast area. And basically it's like the equivalent of Capri, but without the price. So I don't even know how people don't really know about it. Maybe they do, and this was one of those things people are like, yeah, we all know Emily. But yeah, it was just like so beautiful. The locals were so friendly. I almost want to gatekeep it because it's just like this gem of a place. It's like so beautiful, really affordable for Italy in summer. So many incredible, like stunning places to go. Like was one day we went to this, it was like you had to walk down a cliff face and it was like a thermal, because it's all like a thermal island. And yeah, it was like essentially like a hot tub in the sea.
Oh, wow.
I know it sounds ridiculous because it was so hot as well. But you had like pockets of colder water. So you'd be like going through and you'd be like, oh, this is super hot. And then you'd like run to another bit, swim to another bit. But yeah, for me, the summer is just all about like the boat trips, the like chilling, just enjoying that Dolce Vita lifestyle. Like I'm very much there for it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I highly recommend. And I really want to go back.
Yeah, totally. You know, one thing that I feel about like European beach culture is like, it's so different than in the States. I'm pretty sure that the UK isn't like this, but you go to a beach in the States and everybody has their like massive speaker and everyone's playing like conflicting music at like top volume, day drinking, but like not in like this like, oh, I've got a buzz way. It's like I'm wasted way. And it's just like, gosh, like, I honestly, this is such a weird like hill to die on, but I feel like beach culture totally went south in the States when everybody got a speaker. Because everyone's like, no, I want to play my song. And like nobody's respecting each other's space, you know?
Yeah.
Whereas like, my gosh, like all these beautiful beaches, like in the Algarve in Portugal, it's silent.
Yeah.
Everybody's really respectful. Like the most I saw was someone brought like a tiny little drum and they were like, quietly drumming to like their song playing.
Yeah. Well, I think in Europe, they're built for the summer. So like the beach clubs and all of that. So it's like if you want to go have like a little bit of a party or whatever, there's the space for that. And there's just like the normal beach. And I think it's also like, it's just a different way of life. Like in the summer, they're all about like, we are enjoying the summer. It's not like, unfortunately for you guys, you get like what 5 days holiday a year or something. So
dude,
you're going to the beach, you're like, I am listening to my music.
Yes, that is literally, I love looking at these things from that context because like, I truly think like we're just bingers because like you said, like we have like a week to get it in, you know?
Yeah.
Like I'm going to turn up, I'm going to drink as much as possible, whatever. It's not a lifestyle. And like, so you get into this space of excess.
Yes.
And it's just no good for anybody.
And that's why we have these awful stereotypes of Brits and Americans abroad because we can't control ourselves. Like, I mean, I'm not going to sit here and act all high and mighty. Like, I can be pretty British at times abroad, like I know. But yeah, it's just, it's in our culture, unfortunately. Like, we drink a lot and don't take care of ourselves. And then we go on holiday and we're like, I'm doing this, like, to the full. That's what attracted me to living in like somewhere like Lisbon because I just feel so much better there. Like now I'm older as well. I just don't care about like the grind. I just want to be happy and balanced and have my mental state be good at all times and go to the beach when I want to. Like, I don't want to be waiting till July to go to the beach for 2 weeks. Like,
yeah, totally. And it's such a privilege. It's such a privilege to be able to like fly over and see for yourself. Like, it doesn't have to be that way.
Exactly.
So on the topic of Italy, you've made some hilariously candid TikToks shading the Italian men that you met this summer who said they didn't have social media. Do you want to tell us the tea behind the TikTok?
Yeah, so, I mean, I know I talk a lot of shit about the Italian men, but I mean, I always go back there, so it's my fault, really. But yeah, basically, me and my friend were doing a digital nomad stint in Greece last summer, and we were in Santorini, living our best lives. And, you know, we just went for a casual drink one night, and we're in the bar, and one of the staff that worked there actually came up to us and was like, hey, ladies, this group of guys want you to come join the table. And we were like, ew, gross. And then I was like, wait. And my friend was about to send her away. And I was like, wait, are they Italian? And she was like, yes, actually. And I was like, we're coming. So we went over, and they're like a big group of lads. Like, there's like at least 8. I'm going to say possibly more than that. So basically, yeah, me and this one guy kind of hit it off, and my friend hit it off with like another guy. It was one of those ones. And, you know, throughout the week, we ended up seeing each other like a few times. And then, so they left, and me and my friend, I think, were staying there for like one more day or something. And during the time we'd been speaking, they'd all been like, oh, we don't have Instagram. Like, yeah, just don't really use it. And, you know, they've made a convincing case. I know it sounds like a lot of red flags, and you're absolutely right. There are. We were like, okay, fair, yeah, maybe they just don't use Instagram. And then the last night, my friend's dude slipped up, and he gave his Instagram, because he obviously wanted to keep in touch with her. He gave his Instagram to her, and obviously didn't tell his mates. And they'd obviously made a pact. Like, we're all in this together. Oof. Yeah. So then the next day we're having brunch. My friend's like on her phone, and then she goes, Emily, I'm not gonna lie, I think they're all married. And I was like, you're joking. I was like, there's no way. Like, none of them wearing rings. No, like, I don't believe it. And she was like, Emily, this is your dude. Showed me his page and was like, and that's his wife. They've got married. And I was like, oh my God. Obviously, for like shit, was fuming, but I was like, there's nothing I can do. We're going to see this guy again. So just to like shit them up a bit, we just followed them. We followed all of them on Instagram, and they all obviously freaked out. They blocked us immediately, and like even our business Instagram pages.
No.
They like blocked us and everything. And we were like, dude, we're social media managers. You think we only have 2 pages? Like, I can look at you from my client account, but you know, whatever. But yeah, that's how we found out. So, you know, girlies, if you are chatting to an Italian man at any point, just use your caution and use your gut, because if he says he doesn't have social media, there's a reason.
Seriously. You know, honestly, good rule when traveling anywhere. If a guy is like, oh, I don't have Instagram, liar.
Literally. Absolute lies.
Yeah. Your story reminds me, because I am in Mexico City right now, right?
Yes.
And in Mexico City, there's so much romance to be had. Like, there's so much like cariño, meaning like just sweetness. Like, people on the phone are like, mi amor, like, you know, like always. And it's very cute. But at the same time, I feel like, and this is a very broad general statement, but like, I feel like so many Mexican dudes that I have met love romance, but do not love monogamy.
I think that's an Italian thing too.
Oh my God. These like romantic countries, I swear. But
yeah.
I've just gotten to the point where whenever I go to the club out here in Mexico, if a guy's flirting with me, like I use my voice and I'm like, do you have a girlfriend? Mm-hmm. I'll say it in Spanish too. I'm like, are you seeing somebody? And literally one time the guy was like, no, absolutely not. Let me buy you a drink, whatever. And I was like, okay, fine. He said no. Great.
Yeah.
He adds me on Instagram. I go home. I open up Instagram. I follow him, or I see his profile. First picture is him with a girl. And like, they're super lovey-dovey, all these pictures. And I'm like, I asked you. And it was like on his story too. It wasn't like, oh, it's an old pic. No. Like day of being cutesy. And I'm like, sir.
It's ridiculous. It's like, is it just to them harmless flirting? But I don't think it ever is. There's always, like, if you were going to go there, they'd go there.
Yeah. That's perfectly put. Like, it's that kind of like look that's like, if you're down, I'm down. And you're like, well, do I have all the information?
But But it's like, if you've asked, what are you supposed to do? Be like, just like super untrusting of everyone you meet? Like, it's not my job.
Oh, yeah. So aside from the advice to always make sure that they do not have a secret Instagram, what is like a piece of advice that now us mature ladies in our 30s, what piece of advice would you give to like a younger Em who maybe just started traveling?
I think the number one thing I would say is do not wait for anyone to travel or actually do anything in life. Like, don't wait around. Time is not promised. I learned that so much during the pandemic as well, which is probably why I'm going so wild. But like, don't wait until, you know, you've got to a certain point in your career, or don't wait for a friend to travel. Certainly don't wait for a boy. Like, that's the biggest mistake you made. I made that mistake, so don't do it. But yeah, I mean, especially since I travel so much as a solo traveler now, I actually just really wish I took the plunge when I was younger. Like, that's my biggest regret. I don't have regrets generally, but that is the only thing. I'm like, I just wish I did it because I was just too nervous and felt like I couldn't, or I don't really know what it was, to be honest. But the hardest part, I think, is just getting your feet out there. It's like, once you're there, it's like you don't care. You're like, okay, I'm doing this. But it's like just getting there is the hardest part. But generally, I think what I would say to younger me is like, just be open. Like, it might surprise you to learn that when I was younger, I was incredibly shy. So like, I had to really push myself to be like open, and especially traveling, I think you have to be open and embrace challenges and not be scared of the things that are going to go wrong, because so much will go wrong. But like,
so true.
One, it's all for the plot. Like, if anything goes wrong, it's all for the plot, so it's fine. But it's like, I mean, on a deeper level than that, you're learning from everything, and it's all for like your whole life development and all of that. So all of that, and then on top of everything, especially as a female traveler, just trust your damn gut. Like, some dude is speaking to you and like trying to get you in a taxi. These are things that have happened to me before. It feels a bit off. Don't do it.
Yeah.
And don't feel like you don't want to be rude to someone. Like, essentially do, if anything.
Yes. I mean, that is so well said. I think you really covered a lot of bases. And again, like, realizing we have a lot more in common than I think we realized on that catamaran. Like, I'm a formerly shy gal.
Really?
Yeah, I had a lot of like social anxiety when it came to like when everybody else in high school was doing kind of like the typical flirty, fun things. Like, I was like, oh my God, no.
So was I.
I think I was 17 when I had my first kiss, and I was like deeply like embarrassed.
Really?
Like, I would see the guy around school and I was like, oh my God. And like, who'd have thunk?
Yeah, I was the same. Like, when everyone was like getting with each other at school and stuff, I stayed very much out of it, because you knew after that weekend at school, it's all everyone was going to be talking about. And I could not stand like people talking about me or like staring at me or like taking the piss. I was like, no, I can't. Like, it's too embarrassing. Like, I actually
Opting
can't.
out.
Yeah, I'm tapping out. Yeah, very much so.
Yeah. So, okay, real talk. Do you catch feelings when traveling? Like, what's your mindset when it comes to travel love or hookups?
Okay, well, I know I talk the big talk about like being casual, blah, blah, blah. But yeah, no, obviously I'm a human and I have caught feelings, I will admit, once or twice. I think, I mean, in like the past few years, like genuinely caught feelings, I think has only happened twice. They were both Italian, actually, but yeah, shockingly. But yeah, no, I think it's good to talk about like the good times and like the good things that can happen from like your travel romances, because I think so many people look at it and it's just like, well, what did you expect?
Oh, yeah, so rude.
I mean, I've met a million people that I've met in like completely random situations, like at a festival or like whatever, like the random meetings, and you know, they're together forever. So it's like, it's possible. My mindset is basically be open to everything but expect nothing. And I know that sounds a little bit negative, but it's just like, it's setting yourself in the right place, because I think in the past I probably always expected too much. I met someone for the first time in a club or whatever, and I was like, oh my God, he's like my dream man. Like, we're going to get married. I'd already like gone there in my mind. And I think I'd had to go through those processes a few times to be like, okay, you need to calm down a little bit, rein it in, be realistic. So I'm just like, I just approach everything as like, what will be, essentially. And like, if it's a hookup, it's a hookup. That's fine. It served its purpose. But I never like, no, I'm not going to see if something could happen, because like those things have happened before.
Yeah.
Where I wasn't expecting it. And then I was like, whoa, okay, well, this happened, but I'm going to roll with it. Like, I didn't want a boyfriend. I was literally in the frame of mind, like, no, don't want a boyfriend. And then typically this is when these things happen. But yeah, being open.
Yeah, totally. That's great advice. And, you know, it reminds me of a phrase that I was taught too. It's like, it's either a good time or a good story.
Yes, love that. I want that tattooed on my body.
Right next to for the plot.
Yeah, for the plot and general chaos. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. And on that note, like, what's your type?
Okay, like for me, there's certain criteria that have to be met. I mean, preferably I would obviously prefer a southern Mediterranean man, but for me, gotta be funny. You've got to be funny. Like, otherwise it's just not gonna work. You need to be on the same like humor level. That, and I think like generosity, and not in a sense of like buying me stuff. I mean like with your time and with your like energy, like someone that is just generous that way. But like what we were saying at the beginning, actually, it's the effort thing for me. Like a low effort dude is just like the worst to me.
Yeah.
Like the worst. Like just pull something out of the bag, man. Like it's not uncool to show that you care. Like that is the worst thing about our generation. I swear to God. It's just like acting like you're not interested is this fucking game until someone cracks and they're like, oh, but I like you. And you're like, what? I had no idea.
Oh no, it's the worst. Like, you know what? If there's one thing that people listening to this episode take is like, just put people in two categories, people that make effort and people that don't make effort, and like act accordingly, match these people's energies.
And that goes for everyone.
Yeah, totally.
Everyone in life, friends, lovers, whatever.
Lovers. Yes.
Lovers.
So, where is next for you? Leave us with a little bit of wanderlust.
So I'm obviously trying to move to Lisbon, visa pending. So we'll see. I always have a plan, or I'm making plans, and then they just never seem to happen. So I'm like, this one I'm really trying to stick to. But yeah, I mean, things that are planned, like for sure, is I'm going to Colombia in March on a group trip. So if anyone wants to come, they can.
Yes.
So I think I might spend some time there, maybe a month or something. And then I might go to like Mexico, hopefully see you.
Yes, strap a pin.
Yeah, I think I'll spend like 3 months there, bopping around. And then European summer.
Oh, yeah.
For sure, like needs to be done. And hopefully hosting lots of Italy group trips, because obviously who is better to show off the country?
Yes. And like, how would you describe, like when you're building out your itineraries, like what's the vibe?
The vibe, okay. So I want it to be fun. I don't want it to be like a typical tour where it's like you're up at 6 and like it's really like strict, I guess. So like if you want to like go out and party for the night, do it. But I want to have lots planned as well. So like lots of good cultural stuff, good experiences. I just want mainly people to come away being like, oh, that was just the best trip. I want people to meet each other and feel confident to go do the solo travel thing, or like make good connections. I just think life's all about that. So I'm hoping to get people together to do that.
Yes. I mean, I'm just picturing everybody with an Aperol spritz in hand.
Oh, that's the requirement.
Yeah, amazing. So if you guys want to stay up to date with that, Emily's info is going to be in this episode's description. But honestly, you've heard this episode. She's a bunch of fun. There's going to be silk. There's going to be linen. There's going to be spritzes. I'm excited to see it all come together.
Thank you. I'm so excited.
Yes. And lastly, how can people keep up with you?
So I'm mostly active over on TikTok at EmmyGoesPlaces, and my Instagram is the same handle. So yeah, come and connect and say hi.
Yes, join the chaos. Let's go.
Let's all be chaotic together.
Truly, if there's one thing from this episode, check if he has an Instagram, be chaotic, and live your life.
Exactly. That's it summed up.
Exactly. Well, we'll see you next time. And thanks so much, Emily, for coming by.
Thank you so much. This was so much fun.
Enchantée. To keep up with Emily's adventures, follow her on Instagram and TikTok at EmmyGoesPlaces. And be sure to check out her super cheeky blog, EmmyGoesPlaces.com, both of which are linked in this episode's description. Want to link up with like-minded Globethotties all over the world? Find your squad by joining Globethotters Facebook group. Our Facebook group is a private space to ask all your travel cues, swap stories, and meet up with other adventurers on your wavelength. The Facebook group is also the first to hear about any trips I've got coming up and how you can join me. So, to join the squad, all you gotta do is search Globetrotter Travel Gang on Facebook. The link is also in this episode's description. Let's wrap things up with a juicy voicemail straight off the Globetrotter hotline. Today's story takes place on Birthright in Tel Aviv, where our listener Lily has a run-in at the club with a, quote, nice Jewish boy who's just full of surprises.
Hi, Cassie. It's Lily here, and I wanted to tell you my story about my time in Tel Aviv. So I went on a Birthright trip this year, which is like a trip that Jews can take to visit Israel for free. And at the end of the trip, it's a 10-day trip. We all went out one night in Tel Aviv. It's like the big night to go out throughout the trip. And I had been hoping to like hook up with this guy for my trip that was really cute, but it just didn't seem like it was going to happen. So I kind of give up, and literally a minute later, a guy walks up and introduces himself, and he is really, really cute. And he's this other American guy that had also been on Birthright like a month before and was still in Tel Aviv. Hit it off. He buys me a shot, start dancing, start making out. And then he asked me if I want to leave with him. And I say, sure. I mean, he was very, very cute, a nice Jewish boy. What more could you want? So we go outside and he pulls up Uber and he's like, okay, I'll put in my place where I'm staying. And he pulls up the address and it is in Jerusalem. Yes. And we are in Tel Aviv, which is about an hour and a half from Jerusalem. And he tells me that he thought I was more adventurous than that I should just go there, even though I was on a group trip that I had to be with the next day. So that was the end of my love story in Tel Aviv. Hopefully next time it goes better, but honestly, good story.
Enchantée. Inspired to share your own epic travel story on the Globetrotter hotline? All you gotta do is go to speakpipe.com/Globetrotter or click the link in this episode's description to leave an up to 90-second voicemail detailing your travel tale. A quickie, if you will. Want to stay anonymous? No name is required to leave a voicemail. Till next time, I'm Cassy Martinez.